Hello everyone, we are the Group 1 and we are here to present to you our topic, which is the Performance Evaluation and Improvement Tools Balance Scorecard. And before diving into each topic, let us first define the objectives to be achieved throughout the lessons. So after completing this presentation, you should be able to first identify and understand the four perspectives of Balance Scorecard. Second, describe the relation of balanced scorecard to strategic management. Third, identify and properly design a balanced scorecard and its implementation method. And the last one, determine the benefits and limitations of balanced scorecard. To start with our first topic, let us know the basic concepts of a balanced scorecard.
What is a balanced scorecard? It is a metric that is used to identify and improve the company's internal operations to help the external outcomes. A balanced scorecard is a strategic measure that is used to get more balanced view of the business performance. Using this will give more visible connection between the projects and programs that people are working on. The Balanced Scorecard was developed by Dr. Robert Kaplan and Dr. David Norton in 1992. How do businesses use Balanced Scorecard? First, they use it to communicate what they're trying to accomplish. Second, to see if the strategy is aligned to everyone's work in day-to-day basis. Next, they use the Balanced Scorecard in prioritizing projects, products, and services. Lastly, it is used to monitor the progress toward a strategic target. Furthermore, here is a sample of what a balanced scorecard looks like. The balanced scorecard of the Smith National Bank talks about its financial aspect, customer, internal business processes, learning and growth under their strategy on objectives, measures, targets, and initiative. The next reporter will discuss what are the four perspectives of a balanced scorecard.
The four perspectives are one of the balanced scorecard distinguishing aspects that examines organizational performance from a variety of perspectives. Perspectives are the performance dimensions or lenses that contextualize strategy. Understanding an organization as a system made up of pieces that function together, like the gear in the clock or a fine watch, requires various of four perspectives. These factors work together to produce value, which leads to customer and stakeholder satisfaction as well as secure economic success. In their early collaboration, Doctors Robert Kaplan and David Norton discovered that several businesses measure their performance just in terms of money, and that means more strategic set of dimensions was required. Few tactics can be judged on a single criterion. The fundamental four perspectives enable the business to construct a strategic map to communicate to employees how the company benefits the economy. The financial perspective assesses whether the company's plan of implementation and execution and contributing to company's bottom line improvement. It expresses the organization's long-term strategic objectives and so combines the strategy of tangible outcomes in traditional financial terms. According to Kaplan and Norton, there are three probable stages under financial perspective. These include rapid growth, sustain, and harvest. Financial goals and measurements for the growth stage will be derived from the organization's development and expansion, which result in greater sales volume, new customer acquisitions, revenues, and growth. The sustain stage, on the other hand, will be defined by metrics that assess the company's ability to manage its operations and costs, such as return on investment and return on capital invested. Furthermore, the harvest stage will be based on company's cash flow analysis, which will include measures like payback periods and revenue volume. Revenue growth, expenses, profit margins, cash flow, net operating income, and other financial variables are commonly included in the financial perspective. The customer perspective evaluates how the entity provides value to its customers and determines the level of customer satisfaction with the company's products and services. Customer satisfaction is a measure of company success. Obviously, how a company handles its customers has an impact on its profit. So, how do customers see your business in comparison to competitors? The Balance Scorecard evaluates the company's reputation to its rivals. It allows the business to move outside of its usual environment and see itself through the eyes of the customers rather than internally. And here are some of the strategies that a business may use to enhance its reputation among customers. These include improving product quality, improving the purchasing experience for the customers, and lowering the pricing of its goods and services. The innovation and learning perspective is the core of any strategy and focuses on a company's intangible assets, specifically the internal skills and capabilities necessary to support value-creating internal processes. The innovation and learning perspective is concerned with the enterprise's occupations, or human capital, systems or the information capital, and climate or the organization's capital. These three factors are related to what Kaplan and Norton claim is that the infrastructure required to realize ambitious targets in the three other perspectives. This will of course be in the long run because improving the innovation and learning perspective will demand some investments that may reduce short-term financial outcomes while adding to long-term success. Internal business process is concerned with the procedures that develop and deliver the customer value propositions. It focuses on all of the activities and essential processes that are necessary for the company to succeed at providing the value that consumers demand both productively and efficiently. These can contain both short and long-term goals, as well as embracing new process development. Kaplan and Norton discuss utilizing specific clusters that group related to value creation processes in a company to discover the metrics that meet to the internal business process perspective. Internal business process clusters include operations management, customer management, innovation, and regulatory and social management. Operations management is how the company enhances the utilization of their assets, as well as supply chain management. On the other hand, customer management is the company's expansion and deepening their connections. Furthermore, innovation is how companies develop new goods and services. And lastly, regulatory and social management is through establishing good relations with external shareholders.
Hi guys, I am Kennyth Balansag and now I will be discussing to you about the Balance Scorecard as a strategic movement. One of the current management techniques that was presented is the Balance Scorecard. The goal was to help businesses make better use of their intangible assets. Traditional financial indicators will be supplemented by the Balance Scorecard. Customers, internal company processes, and knowledge management are three other perspectives from which performance is measured. Top-level management can use the scorecard to link long-term technique to short-term activities. Managers that use a balanced scorecard don't have to rely solely on short-term financial performance to gauge their organization's growth. It also includes other indications that show how the short-term results have influenced the long-term technique. The scorecard allows managers to introduce 4 new processes. This includes the translating the vision, communicating and linking, business planning, and feedback and learning. So first, translating the vision. It is a form of communicating long-term goal statement with comprehensive objectives and metrics. These causes top management to adopt operational measures which necessitates discussion and eventual agreement on a strategy for accomplishing the company objectives. Next is the communicating and linking. It is a method for facilitating the dissemination on ideas all throughout organization. Through evaluation and systems and incentives, organizational and individual goals must be linked with the strategic plan. So third, we have the business planning. Business will merge their strategic planning and budgeting procedures by using the scorecard. This ensures that the subjects are in line with the company goals. The scorecard uses select measurements to illustrate each of the 4 views, then establish goals for each. They'll then pick which specific actions will assist them in achieving those goals. The balanced scorecard results in the use of short-term goals to measure performance toward a strategic goal. The last one we have is the feedback and learning. Managers can use the balanced scorecard to track input and link it to the strategy. The first 3 steps are critical, but they necessitate a persistent goal. Any divergence from the original plan is seen as a flaw. The scorecard remains balanced by delivering real-time information to boost strategic learning, supported feedback, and learning experiences. The balanced scorecard helps an organization's plan for aligning management procedures and focusing on company's long-term vision. It will be extremely difficult to maintain a consistent vision and activity without a scorecard when seeking to adapt new systems and techniques. The balanced scorecard establishes a basis for managing a technique's applications while also enabling the technique to develop and based on changes in the company's competitive market and technology context.
Essential items to strategic learning. One of the newest management tools, the Balanced Scorecard, was presented. Traditional financial indicators will be supplemented by the Balanced Scorecard. Managers that use a Balanced Scorecard don't have to rely solely on short-term financial performance to gauge their organization's growth. The Balanced Scorecard supplies 3 essential items to strategic learning. First, it expresses the vision. The holistic vision is communicated to the entire company, as well as the individual efforts are connected to company business goals. A holistic business approach is a strategy that connects every department in an organization to help them work as one team. All employees work together to achieve an overarching organizational goal. Second, a strategic feedback system is provided by the scorecard. The strategies are viewed as hypotheses by the system, which it would be able to test, confirm, and adapt. There are many ways to gather feedback. You can simply ask them via surveys or monitor their behavior. Lastly, the Balanced Scorecard facilitates strategy review. Instead of holding periodic meetings to assess past performance, as in the traditional financial review process, scorecard users analyze feedback to determine whether the strategy feedback is being implemented, how it is being implemented, and whether the strategy should be modified based on new information. This gives the company a forward-thinking attitude. A strategic review is a structured process to identify new value-creating opportunities within a business. This could be about improving the performance of an existing division or taking advantage of a new market adjacency opportunity. The Balanced Scorecard helps an organization's plan for aligning management procedures and focusing on the company's long-term vision. It would be nearly impossible to maintain a consistent vision and activity without the scorecard when seeking to adopt new strategies and processes. The Balanced Scorecard provides a framework for managing a strategy's implementation while also allowing the strategy to evolve in response to changes in the company's competitive market and technology contexts.
Hi everyone. I will be reporting about the topic steps in developing a balanced scorecard. So it is important to note that understanding the strategy of the organization or business unit is essential for the construction of the balanced scorecard. The notion balance relies on an understanding of the organization's goals and objectives that needs to encompass its approach to its customers or customer segments, distribution channels, activities and resources, etc. So, what are these steps in developing a balanced scorecard? So, the first step in developing a balanced scorecard is to identify and assess the organization strategy. So, this involves conducting the organization assessment of the strategic elements, the mission and vision, SWOT, and organization values. The question, what are the organization's overall strategic goal, vision, mission, and objectives, should be answered during this step. And tasks such as sourcing a copy of the organizations is done at this step. And in order to fulfill this, your team must have ample access to background material on the organization's mission, vision, values, strategy, competitive position, and employee core competencies. You can also use your internal resources such as your strategy and marketing groups to assist you with this effort. If it is not available, you can directly consult with your senior management. And during this step, it is also very important to identify the most important strategic goals, such as the financial and non-financial, short-term and long-term goals. The second step is to assess the organization's stakeholders. So this involves identifying all the stakeholders in the organization and which of them should be considered. So answering the question, who are the organization's key stakeholders and how should the organization meet their needs, can serve as a guideline to complete this step. Tasks such as listing the key customer groups of the organization, determining whether the organization is currently meeting the needs of each group, and formulating ways on how can the organization best meet the needs of its customers is done at this step. The third step is to compile a strategy map. So a strategy map is a diagram that shows the connections or relationships between your strategic objectives. This involves deciding how the various strategic goals are interlinked. So during this step, the team will construct a strategy map, clearly identifying any links that exist. It must also identify any overlap in objectives. So the strategy maps are then merged into an overall corporate strategy map that shows how the organization creates value for its customers and stakeholders. So the simple one-page graphical representation of your strategy will describe and powerfully communicate to everyone in the company what is absolutely critical to your success in each of the four balanced scorecard perspectives. The fourth step is to define the key performance measures and SMART targets for each of the four balanced scorecard perspectives. This involves constructing a list of key performance measures for each of the four perspectives. So performance measures should be defined clearly, differentiating the outcome and output measures as well as the leading measures or future expected performance and lagging measures or past performance history. In this step, you will also design your performance targets. This might be perceived as the most difficult and confusing step, so it is important that a bit of time is apportioned so that the performance measures will be meaningful. And now we're down to the last step, which is the Cascade Balance Scorecard. So cascading is the key to organization alignment around strategy. In this step, it involves cascading the corporate scorecard throughout the organization to business and support units. Then team and individual scorecards are developed to link day-to-day work with departmental goals and corporate vision. So as the scorecard management system is cascaded down through the organization, objectives become more operational and tactical, as do the performance measures. Accountability follows the objectives and measures as ownership is defined at each level. An emphasis on results and the strategies needed to produce results is communicated throughout the organization. Before we move on to the next topic, let me give you a reminder that each organization's balanced scorecard will be unique to its business, its key stakeholders, the environmental and competitive context in which it operates.
Types of information required in a balanced scorecard. The details required to create a balanced scorecard are those that will assist in the analysis and interpretation of the different perspectives of it. In order for the business or company to design a balanced scorecard in helping their decision making and the achievement of their strategic goals, they must track various kinds of information that are included in a balanced scorecard to make sure that the firm maintains the necessary balance and to make certain that all perspectives are in proper working order. So what are the information required for every perspective? First, types of information for financial perspective. This perspective needs information that can show how money is circulated. The ability to effectively manage money is essential for any successful organization. It is important to understand where your money comes from, how much you take in, and where you want to put it to work. So common examples of information for it are sales growth, cost of goods sold, cash flow, return on investment, and the like. These types of information may vary depending on the organization, but basically, those are common in every business. Despite the fact that there are many different sorts of information to obtain, they will normally tell you the revenues, investments, sales, and profits of the company, and it is up to the company to figure out how to maximize them. This can help designing the balanced scorecard by reflecting the total value of the company. Next up is the types of information for customer perspective. If it weren't for the customers, there would be no business at all. They are the motivating factor behind the company's existence and success. If the business wants to succeed, they must understand what their customers expect from them, what they demand in terms of quality, cost, delivery, as well as what they will expect in the future. The company must determine who their customers are now and in the future, both inside and outside of their organization, and who they will become. Examples of information for it are product return, warranty rates, repeat customer rates, customer loss and retention rates, number of customer complaints, prices compared to competition. When a business has access to those types of information, it may update them about customers and about current trends, changes in the market, and changes within the industry. They can then make adjustments that are in line with emerging market trends while maintaining a high level of customer satisfaction and also trying to achieve high profitability as a result. Third, types of information for business process perspective. Many businesses measure and track some of their internal business processes, but they often don't measure and track many of the things they should be looking at. The information needed for this perspective are information that can tell how the internal business processes add value and how you can set up effective ways to monitor and improve your processes. You must know where your company is now in order to get the most out of process improvement. They need to look at the current performance of their company so that they can figure out where the problems are and what they need to deal with. They should keep track of how long it takes to get things done and how well their work meets the standards of their customers. Examples of information that can tell the business processes are on-time delivery, continual improvement, process capability, and inventory management. Dealing with those types of information assists the business in tracking its processes, identifying areas where improvements are needed, and identifying its strong points. Lastly, the types of information for learning and growth perspective. A critical but frequently overlooked part of every company's operations is the management of its knowledge and growth. This perspective needs information that can emphasize the importance of taking care of your personnel and their development, as well as the measurement of their knowledge, education, and growth. A company requires employees not only for the tasks they provide for the firm, but also for their ideas and innovative thinking. In order for the firm to be successful, the employees must be highly trained and skilled as well. Examples of this information are employee developments, quality of workforce, core competency profiles. This information should not be overlooked since the employees are the backbone of a company, and they will contribute to the success and the achievement of goals of the organization. That would all be the types of information for every perspective.
Good day, everyone. My name is Roquelyn Lariosa, and I will be the one to discuss about the performance measurement under balanced scorecard approach. A while ago, one of my groupmates introduced to you the 4 perspectives of balanced scorecard. For the performance measurement under balanced scorecard approach, it depends on these perspectives. So for the first one, we have the financial perspective. Here, financial performance is seen in the larger context of the company's overall goals and objectives, relating to its customers and suppliers, internal processes, and employees. It asks to satisfy our constituents, what financial and regulatory objectives must we accomplish? The examples or possible performance measures in the financial perspective are cost per unit, return on equity or return on assets, percentage increase in revenues, and budget projections. Next is the business process perspective, which it asks to satisfy our customers and stakeholders in which business processes must we excel. This perspective includes the values added to customers, such as delivery, production, distribution, etc. The possible performance measures for this one are cycle time, which refers to the amount of time it takes to complete a specific task from start to finish. Downtime, that refers to a time during a regular working period when an employee is not actively productive. Next is testing time, completion rate, government approval, transactions per employee, and errors or rework. The third one is the customer perspective, that includes increasing the quality of products and services, reducing delivery time, and increasing customer satisfaction, which are all critical success factors. In this perspective, it asks, to achieve our vision, what customer needs must we serve? So the possible performance measures in customer perspective are customer satisfaction survey scores, wherein this is a customer loyalty metric used by companies to gauge how satisfied a customer is with a particular interaction or overall experience with the company or with the business. Another one, response time to customer service and market share. The fourth and the last one is the innovation and learning perspective. That includes the people, systems, and organization that enable processes which supports and allows the objectives of the other 3 perspectives to be achieved. It has the question, to achieve our goals, how must we learn, communicate, and grow? The possible performance measure for this perspective are employee satisfaction, retention and turnover, training hours and resources, technology investment, improving employee morale, increasing information systems capabilities, and product innovation. Now let's tackle the types of performance measures. So there are 5 types of performance measures, namely key result areas or the KRAs, next key performance areas or the KPA, key result indicators or the KRI, performance indicators or the PIs, and the key performance indicators or the KPIs. When we say key result areas or the KRAs, it refers to a short list of overall goals that guide how an individual does their job, or general achievement and progress goals for an organization or one of its divisions. KRAs help define the scope of a job or a department or an organization's goals, and define the optimum outcomes and results of daily work. KRAs are the items that are critical for an organization or employee to be successful. Next is the key performance areas or the KPA. Key result area or KRA and the key performance area or the KPA, though the terms hold different meaning but are often used interchangeably and more or less assumed to have same applicability. However, there are differences between the concept of the two. In relation to a job role, KRA defines the outcome or end result expected to be delivered, while KPA defines all the activities, not always result-oriented, an individual has to perform being on job. Next is the key result indicators or the KRI. A key result indicator or KRI is a metric that measures the quantitative results of business actions to help companies track progress and reach organizational goals. KRIs offer an overview of past performance, help corporate management unify information on a company or department's performance, and provide insight on what steps leaders should take to make improvements. Next is the performance indicators or the PIs. It is a metric which informs about some element of performance. Lastly, the key performance indicators or the KPIs. It is a quantifiable measure of performance over time for a specific objective. KPIs provide targets for teams to shoot for, milestones to gauge progress, and insights that help people across the organization make better decisions. From finance and HR to marketing and sales, key performance indicators help every area of the business move forward at the strategic level. Before I end my part, I have a question. Why measure? This is because performance measures under balanced scorecard approach helps to determine how effectively and efficiently the process or service satisfies the customer, to identify improvement opportunities, and to make decisions based on facts and data. We must take note that performance measurements should drive change, providing teeth to the strategy, define objectives in specific terms. It should link to the objective because that would make a good performance measurement. And lastly, measurements should be repeatable, quantifiable, and verifiable. So that's it. At this juncture, I will hand over you to the next reporter. Thank you.
Hello, I am Miss Lawas and reporting about the topic Implementation Method of Balanced Scorecard Approach. How to implement the Balanced Scorecard. People sometimes misunderstood the Balanced Scorecard as 4 simple perspectives in which you just slot and work on the goals equally at the same time, with a final goal of improving performance. This technique, like the one depicted in the diagram that appears when we search the term Balanced Scorecard on the internet, is erroneous. From a strategy mapping point of view, the diagram depicted is a proper approach to visualize the balanced scorecard. The balanced scorecard is not a series of equally weighted perspectives. Rather, it is a process of ensuring that you are nailing each of the perspectives, beginning at the bottom, since each perspective unlocks the one above it, with the goal of increasing profitability. In the diagram, it shows that if you invest in improving your employees' skills by providing them with proper training and tools, they will be able to do their jobs more efficiently and effectively, and they will have a greater chance of producing outputs faster, which will eventually provide the customer with a better service and experience by lowering delivery time, which drives customer loyalty and improves the company's goodwill. If we follow these procedures, we will see a rise in revenue, which ultimately ends at its top middle point of an increase of profit. Therefore, seeing the balanced scorecard from a strategy mapping point of view,
where you start at the bottom to get your ultimate goal of increased profit, is significantly more effective than interpreting it as a simple set of quadrants of goals among the four perspectives. One of the criticisms is that it all boils down to making more money. As a result, it would not be appropriate for government entities or firms such as Google and Facebook who profess to have goals other than maximizing financial profits. Implementing the balance scorecard into two key areas. Strategic planning and strategy tracking are the two main phases of the balance scorecard's strategy life cycle. First, implementing the balance scorecard in strategic planning. There are two ways that you can implement the balance scorecard from a strategic planning perspective. Method 1. Using focus areas. It is necessary to designate each of the four perspectives as one of the focus areas, with those focus areas aligning the objectives, projects, and KPIs. Because it is considerably simpler method, it is best suited to firms that are simple or somewhat less mature in terms of complex strategic planning. Method 2. Using goal types. It is better suited to organizations who are more mature in their strategic planning processes. Rather than seeing the focus areas as equivalent to the real balance scorecard perspectives, it enables you to categorize your activities by creating a custom field for each of your objectives, projects, and KPIs. Moreover, it is also a more sophisticated way since it allows you to mix and match how you categorize your goals. Second, implementing the balance scorecard in strategic tracking. After the strategic planning side, this is the phase wherein regardless of which strategic planning method you've used, there are two ways you'll want to create a couple of different reports to help you track your progress. One of them is how to create a balance scorecard dashboard. This is considered as a glance view of the progress and how completed we are against the objectives, projects, and KPIs. It is a straightforward list of the key activities, and the metric on the top right of these widgets display the score for how well they are performing. Another method of reporting is via snapshots, which involves creating more detailed balance scorecard reports. Additional information such as commentary, progress updates, and metrics are displayed by each perspective. It is typically used to organize weekly or monthly team meetings. Conclusion. As a result, adopting the balance scorecard entails more than just drafting reports. It also implies successfully communicating the information to those who utilize it to make decisions. Furthermore, in my example, I am utilizing the Cascade application to demonstrate how to implement the balance scorecard approach. That's all, and to be continued by the topic, benefits and limitations.
To continue, Balance Scorecard has also benefits and limitations. We listed here 5 benefits of Balance Scorecard. First, it summarizes complex information. Balance Scorecard brings together many of the different elements of a company's business and strategy into a single report. This can make decision-making process more efficient. All of the 4 perspectives of BSc are key elements to the success of an organization. BSc provides a report of the combination of the 4 perspectives, and it can save time for managers who are making decisions. It also enables managers to minimize information overload by limiting the number of measures used. Second, it focuses management attention on the most important variables. BSc helps companies reduce their reliance on inefficiencies in their processes, which we also refer as sub-optimization. This often results in reduced productivity or output, which can lead to higher costs, lower revenue, and a breakdown in company brand names and their reputations. The third one, it enables management by exception and manages areas of underperformance. So Balance Scorecard guards against sub-optimization, so that improvement in one area is not achieved at the expense of another. Bsc combines different elements of an organization, and that enables managers to consider what different departments' functions are. The fourth one, it balances the need for short-term performance with sustainable performance. The scorecard can provide information about the firm as a whole when viewing company objectives. An organization may use the balanced scorecard model to implement strategy mapping to see where value is added within an organization. A company may also use a Bsc to develop strategic initiatives and strategic objectives. And our last benefit, it limits the number of performance measures used. This is somehow related to the first benefit, which is the summary of complex information. Nowadays, organizations seldom get bothered because of lack of information. On the contrary, they often have to deal with more information than what they really need. Bsc can help managers concentrate on only a few key factors so that they can minimize information overload and make the right decision at the same time. So that's it for the benefits. Now let's proceed to the limitations of Bsc. So we also have 5 limitations here. First is, it is complicated for some organizations. Organizations have to increase the number of performance measures when they adopt Bsc. Many organizations find it complex for evaluating business units' performance because Bsc has large number of performance measures across several perspectives. If an organization wants to adopt Bsc, it has to establish clear and real cause and effect relationships between different measures. Second, it may result in employees paying attention to the areas measured. So balanced scorecard may result in employees paying attention to the areas measured since Bsc outlines what the organization's strategy and all the areas that will be measured. Employees will start paying attention to these areas so that they can get high reward through good performance in these areas. They'll ignore areas that won't be assessed because they won't get reward from these areas. And this can become a weak point of the organization. Now to the third one. It may be too restrictive and also may not be able to cope with a fast-changing business environment. So the market is changing rapidly nowadays, and it takes time to construct a Bsc system in the organization. Important elements for an organization change every day, and new elements arise also every day. It's quite possible that one element is very important when the organization decides to adopt Bsc and becomes not important at all when Bsc is finally established. And now the fourth one. Bsc requires a lot of data. Most of the time, balanced scorecards require managers and team managers to report information, which means there are a lot of data needed. Many don't like this because they find it tedious and also it can get in the way of doing the work required to meet objectives. And our last limitation, it may have a high cost. Since Bsc requires a lot of data, establishing it consumes a lot of time and resources. Even established, Bsc can cost a lot. It needs continuous collection of information, and there is a learning and growth perspective in Bsc which can be quite expensive. So many organizations may abandon Bsc just because of the high costs. That's it for the benefits and limitations of the balanced scorecard. And that concludes our report about the Performance Evaluation and Improvement Tools Balance Scorecard. We hope we imparted new knowledge with our discussion, and we appreciate your time and effort in listening to our presentation. Thank you very much.